Have you ever faced a challenge that shook your faith to its core and caused you to question everything that you believed in?
What I was taught to do,
Right.
which was you can't question God.
Right.
You got to trust him. He
Facts.
knows the plan. He's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. So
Right.
he has your plan predestined.
Right.
And so those were the things I was programmed to believe.
I was like, no, hopefully you could be real with your situation and question God and question some of the things that you're facing.
Well, in today's episode, we're diving all into uncertainty and doubt within your faith, and we'll also share some of our experiences.
I remember the initial pain and even the scream and the anger that I had in that moment of why? Literally, God, what is going on?
Yeah.
And that's when my deconstruction started.
That's what made me question God, because it was so, to me, I have no other word to describe it but sick.
Yeah.
It was sick and it was dark.
And with over 20 years of ministry experience, we want to explore the tough questions and the deep meanings of our faith journey with you.
So, welcome to Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. This is a safe space,
helping you to freely think
and discover what you believe. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody.
What's up? What's up, everyone?
And we back.
Yeah.
I hear you with the vocals.
You hear me? I've been practicing.
Little nod to Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, shout out to Chance.
Well, we want to welcome you guys back to Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. Today, we hope you notice that not only are we in a new space,
Yeah,
are you liking it?
Definitely different. I'm feeling it.
You feeling it?
Right, we right here in the living.
We're in the
You know what I'm saying?
in the living room, and we want to invite you into this couch conversation.
Yeah.
It's just simply a place for you to feel comfortable. Like we said, a safe space, right? So not only are you going to see this is a new space, but we also have a new mission.
Yes.
And we want you to freely think, and we want you to challenge everything, like the sign says behind SteveVon. Unlearn everything.
Everything.
Lots of references today, because thanks, Kat, for that one.
Yeah, shout out to Kat.
So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it by introducing a brand new segment.
Yeah.
And you guys have never heard this one before, but we love it. It's called Go Off.
Go off.
So it's so funny. But okay, so babe, why don't you tell the people what Go Off is all about?
So this just means it's a time for you to speak what's on your heart, what's on your mind. It's an opportunity for you to vent and let it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we're doing it on the couch, the couch combo, because you got to feel comfortable to go off.
I mean, you got to. And I mean, everybody can't come to the couch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have certain friends that you hang out with, you go out, work with, you go to eat with as well. But sometimes everybody can't come to your house on the couch. You know what I'm saying? So when we say we're allowing you, we want you to be a part of the couch conversation. We're saying we bring you into our family, our community, our tribe.
Yes.
So be a part of this with us.
Yes. So go off and do it in an unfiltered way. So let's get into it. Okay.
Let's do it.
So for this Go Off, the very first Go Off segment of our podcast back for season 2.
Yeah.
I want us to talk about Easter.
Go off.
It is Easter weekend. It's the Easter season. That time is among us. And, I'm going to share something here. This is a safe space, so I can share this.
You can go forth.
This is our first Easter not attending church.
Yeah.
In years.
I mean... ever, probably.
Ever. Yeah, that's true. Ever. We've grown up in church.
Yeah.
We've been in ministry since we've known each other. We've never missed an Easter.
Never. I mean, I thought about this. I forgot to talk about this. But I would say this. Even Easter, we almost died. People don't even know that story. 2007, our first year of being, we weren't even married. It was our year. We were about to get married 2 months. It was April 2007. We got married June 2007. And when I was youth pastor, Britt was youth pastor with me. She did worship at her dad's church. We getting stuff ready for Easter, like you be doing, getting all the stuff. We're getting ready for the big day, the Super Bowl. Super Bowl of church and Sunday. And we're in Detroit. And we hit that block of ice.
Spent out on a 4-lane highway, hit a divider.
Right in Detroit, that big old Highway 96, I think.
Yep.
It hit a divider, And I mean, we were screaming.
We came out safe. No bumps, no scratches, except for one person had a little bruised nose. Yeah. But we were all alive. Yeah. But we still went to church that next Sunday.
I mean,
I don't even know how we got there because my car was.
It was the next day.
Oh, the next day.
It was Saturday. We was trying to get ready for a skit or something for, you know how it is. Yeah. And we still got up. I mean, we shouted. We praised God. I mean, because we was in that car saying, Jesus, Jesus. And he covered us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, I mean, to say we didn't miss that Sunday. Yeah. Now we missed a Sunday. Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah, so it's different for us, especially coming out of being in full-time ministry as well, because we've been a part of planning these events every single year. Yeah, and so it's just so funny. The reason why we picked this to go off about was because we were driving one day down the street, and I don't know why, but I just noticed it was like every street had Easter here, Easter at this church, Easter at that church. It was Easter advertisements on bandit signs. Y'all know what a bandit sign is, right? It's those "we buy your houses" kind of thing, or whatever. Vinyl signs, you know? Those ones in the ground. It was those signs were there. There were banner signs, billboards. We had flyers, billboards. It was everywhere. And for the first time, I don't know why, I really never thought about this, and maybe it's because I was in the machine helping it go at the time. But now I just look at it and I'm like, why do we do all of this? Because historically, Easter is the most attended, the highest attended service, the highest attended service of the year, like historically. And I want you to break down the acronym.
Yeah, CME. Yeah, the CME saints, as they call them, are churchgoers, and that's the Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter service attenders, right? Yes. And so they're going to come to those services no matter what, right? And so honestly, it's more so like you realize you don't really have to do too much for them to show up.
Right, exactly. That's why it's just like, for me, why do we really put so much into pushing it and advertising it so hard? Right. We don't really put a lot of effort into pushing the other Sundays, the main Sundays. And a lot of times I feel like as well with Easter, you can come in on an Easter Sunday and it looks like a completely different church the next Sunday because we put on such a spectacle.
I mean, being a member, being on staff, you're like, you could walk in there like, whoa. It's almost like you see that brother that changed his clothes. He got some new shoes. You're like, okay, look at you, right? It's almost like, no, seriously. It's like you brand new. You looking different. That's how it looks sometimes. Seriously. For a high percentage of many churches. It's only a few that like they do this junk every week in and out pretty consistently because they have the budget, the money, the funds, the relevance a lot of times, you know. And so with that being said, it's like it definitely gives you this feeling of like, why we got to put on so much? Oh God, no, because Jesus died for us. Yes, but I mean, like, if that should be enough, right? So like sometimes it becomes like this spectacle, this circus, this show. What can we do to top last year? What can we do? It's like,
and why do we do that to top last year? It's because at the end of the day, it's about metrics, it's about butts and seats, it's about numbers. Now that's a whole other chord that we
metrics and money.
You want to strike that chord right now. Sheesh. But like, it's all about, you know, butts and seats and how many people are there. So we're trying to top the experience so we can top how many people came, you know, this year versus last year. And we want 10% growth or whatever the metrics are for your church or whose ever church, you know.
10% growth and 10% tithe.
Right. 10% is funny in the church. It's the golden percentage or something. No, but
yeah, it's like that. We've been in those rooms, and I mean, you know, you hear it, like, you know, and it's like, are we really about doing the Lord's work? I mean, honestly, because we can make it look like it's the Lord's work,
right?
Because here's the thing that I got a problem with, and I didn't even plan to say this, but I might go off on this, is that we think that abundance is only God. We think that more is God. What if it's just a little increment of growth? Right. What if it's consistency?
Right.
What if it's just getting better, not trying to be the best? I want to be better than the next place down there. If we're all doing it, it doesn't matter anyways.
Right.
But my main issue with this particular topic is that, are we going to be consistent beyond this? Like, are you like this beforehand? Are you like this after? Because sometimes our Sunday before be mediocre, mid at best, and you're like, yo, why are we doing this now? How does that communicate to the people that actually go there every week? And then even the next week, it's like, what if you come back and you're a new member, a new person, and a visitor is like, wait, it don't look the same.
Yeah.
It's like going to your favorite restaurant, and it's like on Valentine's Day you go to the restaurant, or Mother's Day, and it's like they have all these just specials and everything, and they have the most workers, and everything looks so good and it feels so great, and then you go back there 2 weeks later, you're like, wait, what happened to all the workers?
Right.
What happened to the customer service?
Right.
Why she got attitude? You know what I'm saying? It becomes that because they put on everything for this one big day, and it's like, then it's a drop off.
Yeah.
That's the part that I have an issue with. And it's like, not even just from a staff position. It's just like, if we're going to do it, let's do it well. And I think that's the thing that's kind of tough. The percentage of people that do it well and ministries that do it well is very low.
Right.
I'm being honest. I probably can throw out there maybe 10%. 10% of churches are probably like killing it consistently every week. This is not like Super Bowl Sunday.
What's killing it?
Consistent. Right? Like I heard your dad said it. Father-in-law said that like the way to greatness is consistency. Like, and Kobe, they asked him, like, they were watching him do like a practice. This guy wanted to come see him practice and see what his workout was. And he was just doing like childhood footwork. And the guy came up and said, hey, Kobe, I thought you were like show me some stuff. He's like, that's the fundamental part of the game. Yeah. If I do that, I do that in the game every time. So I can't do the other spectacular stuff without the fundamental things that I do all the time since I was a kid. And there's a lot of fundamental things like caring for people, like loving them, like being genuine, like being on time, like actually having a brand. And if we're going to be so heavy on the brand, right? And so heavy on like what it looks like for Easter, what about the whole year? What about the whole ministry? What about all the ministries and not just this part of the ministry, right? It becomes inconsistent at times.
What you're talking about kind of reminds me of what Ty Tribbett went viral for recently.
Yeah, for real.
And he made a statement.
He should have been a part of Go Off.
He went off. Real. And so he made a statement where he said, and I want to be clear, the institution of the church or the programming, the systems, what makes up the church now is whack.
Facts.
And so I think that's kind of what you're saying is that we've become so systematic. We've become, and I am a person who loves systems. Like I'm a person who likes to be organized and things. Y'all see me with my phone, with my notes, right? So I like to keep things in order, but I do think that it becomes such a problem for the church because not such a problem, but it's becoming a problem where it's becoming the focus.
Right. And it becomes the focus and it becomes the template.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody becomes the same.
Yeah.
So it's like, cutter. I don't look different than the church down the street. We all got our same little brand. We all got a little walk-in, little welcome thing. We're all going to walk out with something. We're going to have a connect time. And it's like, what makes you different though? What makes you have a significant difference about who you are? You get what I'm saying? And I think that's the part where it's like, even outside of like Easter and all that stuff, it's like, I like this place because it's different. Yeah. Like there's even a difference. I think like when you look at Wendy's and McDonald's, like early on, I used to study brands and stuff because I do graphic design and logo and all that stuff, So it's like Wendy's whole thing is we don't cut corners. So down to their hamburgers, even if you go get one right now, the corners are still there. But McDonald's doesn't have, their corners are cut. No shade to McDonald's, it's just that's their brand, right? They're not trying to make a round burger because McDonald's makes a round burger. Like they know who they are and they're consistent with that, right? I think that's become the issue. Is like, okay, that's what they do. Okay, so they got a team. Oh, so that church has a worship team and they make money by making a song. I'm gonna name my same worship team, and your worship may not even be that good yet. Like, like I'm being for real. Like, just worry about your in-service stuff. Don't worry about your live stream.
And worry about outside of the service. I think that's another part of the problem. It's all focused on the building experience, and I appreciate a great experience, but it also needs to be about the people. That's what Ty was talking about as well. The church is the people. That's how he wasn't saying the church is white.
Exactly.
Because we are the people. But I do have a controversial take on that as well. Because I want to say, and we'll close out this segment, but I want to say that if we're talking about the people of the church, not all, but most are whack.
That's true.
When we talk about judging and we talk about making people feel unloved, feeling like outcast, condemned, and all of those things, that is whack. We have literally ostracized whole communities. I'm talking about the gay community, LGBTQ plus. I'm talking about, I'm just saying, I'm talking about the, whole racial divide. It's the most segregated day of the week. Every single time.
single time.
You know, so it's the lady who's unsure if she wants to keep her baby, and we're outside with posters. Abortion is murder. Did you know you're doing murder? Like, I just watched a TikTok of someone saying that to a girl. She's walking into the clinic. Like, that's not love. That's not what this church is supposed to be built on. And the Bible talks about the greatest commandment being love. Loving God and loving others. That's the greatest commandment. And on that commandment, all the others are hinged on. They hang on
not
that.
Even just the 10, the other ones before that, like the hundreds of things that we had that Jesus came to change to help us, because he knew it wasn't attainable, right? But he came to show us love for others as well, like dying on the cross for us. Had nothing to do with him, right? It was a love for his fellow man, his brother. And so with that being said, I think one of the things I would say, this is the last thing I would say about this segment, is that for me, what I've seen is like we get so enamored by our buildings and our brands, and we forget about the body. Like, really, the church is a body, not a building. And I think that's where things got lost. And it's crazy. We still are getting lost with this, because even after the pandemic in 2020, when we've seen it right in front of our eyes, that it was no longer about a building because we couldn't get in there. It should have been more about the body. The churches that didn't last and the places that didn't come back was the churches that were always focused on the building. And they came back with no body. Literally, no body, right?
Okay.
We gotta be more consistent on loving the people and the person beyond our procedures and our plans and all the stuff that we want to do and all the things that we're our purpose of the ministry. The purpose is to go and reach. That's literally what it is.
Just love.
Like, and it's not just to reach so they can come back to our church and fill a seat so we can count and make a metric. It's really about ministry and being missional, loving somebody. And if they never come through the church doors, but they have a connection with not even just us, but God, or someone that can just talk to them on their lunch break and care for them, that's what it's all about. And when we do that, the church won't be whack no more.
Absolutely.
But until then, we're still whack. That's my go off take.
The institution of the church and the systems is whack.
Whack.
Period. So let us know what you feel. You know, we want to hear you go off. Go off in the comments. And also we have a place where you can click in the show notes if you would like to leave a voice note and be featured on the podcast with your go off take. Please do that, and we will feature you. So with that being said, let's go into our next segment, rather.
The main segment.
I love this, because the next segment is going to be all about what this podcast or this episode is all about. And the name of this segment is, what does that even mean?
What does that even mean?
It's so funny how you do the takes on the segments. Like, are you trying to create, like, what do they call them, jingles for each one?
I'm trying to set them up. So they may work.
Oh my God. So let me tell you guys just a little background about what does that even mean. So SteveVon and I have been on a journey, as you may can hear, where we are questioning everything and unlearning everything and relearning what we now believe. And so when we first started our journey, we would sit around with our best friends and we would literally just ask questions, whether it was something we were talking about in the Bible, something connected to our faith, something we were taught growing up. And we would literally just ask each other, what does that even mean?
And you remember I used to be like, yes, this is a safe space.
Yes.
It started like in text messages, like, can I, like, because I'm like, we got to talk about it. Then we would go from texting, like, we got to call you.
And we would be in person.
Yeah, we would do it in person too. But when we were like distant, and, you know, from out of state, we would do it too. Because like at the end of the day, no matter how far you are from someone, you need a community to talk through this stuff, you know?
So that's where the heart behind this segment came from. So we're going to ask the tough question of what does this even mean pertaining to things of our faith. And today we're asking the question, which you've seen the name of this podcast or this episode topic is Faith Unfiltered. We're questioning everything. So let's go ahead and get into our first question. It is, when did you first start to question your faith?
I would say it probably was around the same time you probably started questioning yours. But I would tell my side of the perspective of the story. I would say when we lost our first son, Threelu, missed my boy. He would have been 8 years old. That's crazy,
Wow.
And so it's like, when you talk about deconstructing, a pain point in your life will cause you to break something down.
Yeah.
And what happens is it doesn't stop there, because every time I think of his birthday every year, it reminds me of that pain point, which means I still have to break that down. Right. And so losing him was tough, because it was a prophetic word that was spoken over us, just someone speaking to us, one of our friends in a service. It was actually not just like in the corner or like, outside, someone telling us, or while we were at lunch, but it was literally while we were at church, and he was speaking, and he called me and Britt down. And that day was like, what? God's been thinking about us. You remember that day? And it's like, we come down, and he basically speaks over us that God said we would have a son, or a seed, a kid, a baby by next year. We will actually be holding our baby. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I heard a lot of prophecies. People prayed for us. We struggled to get pregnant. And Brittany will probably share more about her condition that she faced. But for me, it was like, we wasn't sure if we could get pregnant. We just knew that we hadn't got pregnant. And when you're young and married, you're kind of like, hey, it's cool. We got to learn each other, get our bills together, finances. But when we actually lost 3 Lou, and I remember the joy of finding out we were pregnant. And for a long time, I was like, oh, I can't believe we are. It'd be days I'd be like, is she really pregnant? And so now we're at this place where we get to 11 to 12 weeks, and I'm like, this is real. And to lose them at 12 weeks was the tough part. And then, the tough part was like when you called me in the bathroom to help you with this process. And I think that part was, I remember the initial like pain and even the scream and the anger that I had in that moment of like, why? Like, literally, God, what is going on? And that's when my deconstruction started, because I'm trying to figure out, why would you give me something to take it back away from me? And I know in the comments you're like, he didn't take it away. He got bit. We're not even trying to get any confirmation about that. This is a real feeling, and what we want to do here is talk about real things and real pain points, because that's the only way you get to true healing. I'm not talking about somebody throwing oil on your head and laying you down on the ground, healing, and you walking away, you're still not healed. I'm talking about dealing with the real reality that's right in front of you and not having cognitive dissonance, which it means to be disassociated or disconnected from reality, emotion, or thought, right? Because a lot of times in church, we try to do that. And instead, I'm like, I can't. My baby's not here. I can't pretend like he is. And that's where deconstruction started for me.
I would have to agree. That is because I want to share that there's a difference between doubting your faith, having doubts, having questions about your faith, right, and actually not believing, tearing down things that you do not believe, right, or you did believe and no longer believe, right, you know what I'm saying? So it may start with the seed of doubt and maybe questioning some things, but then after a period in time, it grows into, wait, I gotta tear all this down and figure it out. It's not a timeout,
it's a halftime.
Yeah. So for me, it was the same, same exact situation. Just for a little background, I do have, or I've been diagnosed with the condition called PCOS, which stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, which just makes it challenging for me to lose weight and also to get pregnant. And so pretty much my husband and I, we had been married for a few years by this time, 5 years or something. And we had been trying but not trying, because we always wanted to just have time with us, and be focused on our relationship and building, like you said. But then once we noticed, wait, something's not right, it should have happened, we never even had a scare. And so that Sunday happened where our friend called us down and he prophesied to us. He literally pulled us out, and it was like God made a spectacle out of this whole situation by doing that. And he gave us that word, within by next year you will hold a baby, you will be holding a baby. So I got pregnant, or after he gave that word, I went and I started doing everything I needed to do to try to get pregnant. I don't believe in sitting back, and when I receive a word, I believe in faith is an action word. See, I grew up word of faith. So
see, I grew up Baptist.
But word of faith, my dad says we're Pentecostals, so it's a mix of a bunch of things. Shout out to the
Baptist, Pentecostals, and the word of faith movement. Everybody.
But I grew up learning that faith is an action word, and you have to act on it. And so I
name it, claim it, baby.
And not just name it, claim it, but actually do,
yeah.
you know. And so I felt like I needed to do everything that I could. So I fasted.
Yeah.
I began to work out. I began to change my lifestyle, you know, all of these things. And I end up getting pregnant. And it was after a few months, I want to say, of that. I actually got pregnant naturally, carried to about 12 weeks, almost 13 weeks. And then I just started going into preterm labor with our son at home. And I actually miscarried him. And it was very traumatic because trigger warning right now, but it's going to get graphic. I actually delivered him in the toilet. Yeah. And so you can imagine the trauma. My husband we're not even really knowing what's going on. I didn't even know I was really fully in labor. And so my husband, you know, coming into the bathroom, I'm just, you know, thinking I'm just spotting and clots are coming out. But then my husband reached into the toilet to make sure, because just something in my instinct was just like, just check. Yeah. And sure enough, he pulled out our son. And it was just
worst day of my life.
That was the moment right there that literally almost broke me, to see him. I've never seen him that angry, that emotional. If you know SteveVon, you know he's very calm, cool, collected kind of guy. He just has that demeanor. But this was the most emotional I had seen him, and I was emotional, but I don't know why in that moment I felt like I could be strong for him. And so that happened. And, you know, somehow we were able to pick ourselves up from that moment and try again. We were devastated and we didn't understand it because of that word that was given to us. But we were like, we got to try again. Right. So we did, after healing and everything. But, we tried again, and after about a few months, we ended up getting pregnant again. And because I knew what I had with PCOS, I knew it contributed to miscarriages. And I knew, let me find a specialist. So I did, and he put me on all the right medication, and we ended up getting pregnant again. And next thing you know, everything was great. I was like, no morning sickness, no nothing. I was carrying so well, and I made it all the way to 19 weeks, almost 20.
Man, it was so beautiful.
And so once we got to 19 weeks, I started going into preterm labor. And my husband, I just remember you driving to the hospital, and I was just screaming in pain.
You called my mom, and she was screaming and praying, and Dad. Yeah. And you called your mom.
My mom. It was just...
The family, it was just... And it was at
traumatic.
night.
It was at night.
Nobody on the road. It was like a bad movie.
Yeah,
we're driving, and we're like, please let it not be again. But now you already have had the bad experience.
But I didn't know why.
Right,
you know,
that's
like
true.
I didn't know why.
Closure from the first one.
So when we got to the hospital, it's a whole ordeal. Let's just do long story short. We got to the hospital, and eventually we were able to get into a room, and they had I ended up finding out that I was 1 to 3 centimeters dilated already. So I found out that I also have incompetent cervix, which means that my cervix can't hold the weight of a pregnancy to term on its own. I would have to have a surgery to place a band on my cervix. So what they were trying to do was set me in a position where my legs were lifted, and my daughter, they were trying, I don't know if we said it was a little girl, our girl, Abby. And so they were trying to get her to, with gravity, force back into my womb, and then they were going to place the emergency stitch on there. But by that time, we were just trying and praying. I remember being like high off of pain meds, and I would be in and out, just loopy. And whenever I would wake up, I can hear worship music, and I can hear my husband praying over me, praying over our daughter. I can hear my mother-in-law, I can hear my mom, I can hear people from the church, prayer warriors, everybody praying. And I was just like we were believing, God, you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. And so eventually the doctor came in and told us there's nothing that we can do, she's already descending, so we have to deliver. And that was tough. And I had to deliver our baby girl, and we watched her take her last breath when I pushed her out. And the hospital was very gracious. They dressed her, they, did a whole thing for her, and we got to sit with her and her body for, a while before they took her, and she had to be cremated.
I held her in my hand. She was like this whole from here to here, my whole hand. And that's like the only memory we have left of
besides
being with
pictures.
my baby, you know. Exactly.
Pictures and some video. And it's so, with you saying the holding her in your hand, that brings back the prophecy. That to me was just, that's what made me question God, because it was so, to me, I have no other word to describe it but sick. It was sick and it was dark, because we did hold our baby, both babies. We held them in our hands, but not in the way that we thought that we would. And not only that, we got pregnant again a third time and miscarried around 4 or 5 weeks, just an early miscarriage. So at that point we were done. We were maxed out. We said, we're done. We stopped doing our YouTube channel. We stopped doing everything. I personally stepped back from ministry at that time, because I went through I'm sure it was postpartum, but I know it was real depression. You know, and so I just was not ready to come back, and I just was so upset at God. Like, why? We didn't ask for this. We wanted to have kids, but we didn't ask to be called up front and given this word. We didn't ask for you to give us a child and then take it away. We didn't ask for you to give us a prophecy that would say we would hold it and it be holding it in our hand, not fully developed and into death. It just was so dark and devastating.
And we shared it. We shared we shared it with the church the first time. The next week, from week 11, we shared it, and then week 12 was when we lost 3 to our baby boy. Then the second time with Abby, same thing. It was like week 16 or 17, we share it, and then a week later or 2 weeks later, we lose her, and it's like, it just felt like a joke. And like God was playing in our face, to be honest.
Literally.
And so, and I know you may not like that, you may not feel that, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to be real. It's unfiltered. We give you the unfiltered part of our story. We all have it, but a lot of us don't really talk about it, because like I said, we got CD, cognitive dissonance. We don't want to really pretend like we don't really go through those things. And so for me, it was like, yo, this is just whack, and I'm tired of it. I'm sad. I don't even want to believe to even try no more, you know? And so like within 14 months, we had 3 miscarriages. Like that was tough on my baby. It was tough on me as a man too. Like, you know, a lot of times men just have to continue to work. I only had like 2 days off out of all 3 of those miscarriages, to be honest. And it's like, there was no real counsel. It was just like, hey man, just like believe. Hey, he's going to do it again. How do you know? Like that part we need to stop saying to people too. We just think we know. Like we just like wishing on a star. Like, just believe it can happen. Yeah, it can, but don't tell me it's going to happen, because you don't know. Like, you're not God. Like God gave us a prophetic word and we still lost it. So like for us, it's just like we had to take a step back and start asking questions and really questioning God. And that's how we got to this place that we're at right now.
And I'll never forget when people started saying to me, you just need to come back. You just need to serve your way through it, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, no, I cannot do that. I am not ready. And not only that, I'm going to be very unfiltered here. I could not sing about a God that I didn't trust. For those of you who don't know, I was a worship leader or led worship, whatever. And just because I don't lead worship now, because my gift isn't tied to what I was doing. I sing, you know what I'm saying? Regardless, even though I don't lead worship now. So at that time I was getting that pressure to come back and lead worship from certain people. And I'm like, I'm not ready. You don't even want to hear me sing right now. Because I have nothing good to say about this God. So I had to go through my process of learning to trust again. And honestly, you know how it is in a relationship when the trust has been broken.
When it's been broken,
that trust
it's
is
tough.
Never the same.
It's hard to get it back.
It's never the same. And you know, some people start at 0. We talked about this on the podcast before.
Season 1.
But some people start at 0 and work their way to 100, and some people start at 100 and go to 0. For me, I'm typically a 0. You work your way to 100.
I've been working, y'all. I've been working.
you got it.
Thank you, baby.
But like with God, I gave him 100 up front. He was the only one. God was the only one that got the 100 up front. And then when that happened, I was depleted. You know, and I felt like I cannot sing, I cannot talk, I cannot teach about a God that I do not trust. And I had to relearn how to trust in him. I'm learning every day if I'm honest, how to trust him, because I'm still going through this process. I'm still trying to get pregnant. We're still on this journey, and I still don't understand why it hasn't happened for us.
There's no punchline. There's no like, oh, now we have a kid.
No.
You know, like, because we always in the church want to lean towards the redemption side. And a lot of times people don't talk about the human side, right? Like, it's not, we don't have a kid. He's not here. She's not here. And we're still believing and processing it for ourselves, but it's been tough. I wanted to ask you a question that I didn't plan to ask. When you said about trust, when that happened, did the trust deplete all the way down to zero? Or was it a percentage, or was it a feeling like halfway?
I feel like zero. Like, because all of my trust was based on faith beforehand, right? Like, it was based on like what I was taught to do, which was, you can't question God. You got to trust him. He knows the plan. He's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. So he has your plan predestined. And so those were the things I was programmed to believe, indoctrinated to believe. And so when this happened, it shook everything up. It was what is that called? Earthquake. It was the earthquake to my faith. And I had to go, it went all the way down to zero. Like, wait a minute. Wow. This ain't, the math ain't mathing.
It ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing.
It ain't mathing.
Not when you tell me something and then you do it, but you don't do it fully. Not when I'm saying I'm being taught that I serve a God that will do a work till it's complete. Okay, let's come on now. In the black church,
faith around and find out, and we didn't find out.
Exactly. And like, I mean, how many times have we heard that God will complete the work, and to come out of it and not have it completed was devastating. So yes, I was down to 0%, and I'm still gaining more and more trust for God every day. I'm not at 100 right now. You know, it's growing, and I feel like God is okay with that.
I really do. I really think that's the beauty of where we're getting and where we're at. And I think hopefully when you're listening, hopefully that's helping you. Hopefully it's like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with them. No, it's like, no, hopefully you can be real with your situation and question God and question some of the things that you're facing. Because I really believe the reason why we can't question, or we were taught to not question God, is because, I'm going to be honest. Now, I don't know about other homes. I'm talking about in the black family, the black house. You don't question your parents. You don't question, especially kids supposed to stay in a child's place. You ain't supposed to, like, what? So I can't even question it. When I'm the most inquisitive at that particular age, where I'm still learning, I should ask questions. And so with that being said, I wonder, with that being taught to us and told to us, especially in our culture, I wonder if it's something that's just been passed down from our culture, not necessarily from God.
That's good.
Like, okay, well, your parents says you're not to question them, so then you tell us not to question you. Then you say, well, you can't question God. Well, it's like, and he the God of the universe? And he the God of the galaxy? He the God of all of this? If anybody should know the equation to the answer that I'm asking a question about, it should be the person who wrote the equation. The answer to the equation, he probably know the opposite too. You know what I'm saying? Because the 1 + 1 + 1 and +1 ain't 4. 2 + 2 ain't 4 nowadays, right? He understands it. And he may not give us the answer, but I should be at least able to ask him questions. And that's where I had to break through to that place. And me and you have been doing that for the last 7 years. And I feel like you said, he's cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, you guys have gotten a peek into our journey and what we are pretty much hinting all around is a word that is a buzzword right now.
We've already said it a couple of times.
I know. I heard you earlier say it, but the word that we're going through in this process is called deconstructing. If you are on TikTok or any other social media platform, you've probably seen some things because it's all the rage right now in the Christian community, and everybody is not feeling it. Some people are in an uproar. But before we get into that, I want to just kind of read a definition really quick of what deconstructing is, because some people don't know, and maybe some people have not heard of it, or some people are maybe on a deconstruction journey and didn't even know it, or some people do know they're on a deconstruction journey but don't really know what it's all about. So I want to simply read this. Deconstruction is a term coined originally by French philosopher Jacques Derrida. Y'all, I ain't French, so don't judge me. Anyways, It's described as the revealing of our hidden assumptions about the world. Deconstruction was the process of learning to examine the glasses through which we see the world. And it can happen in the context of any philosophy, religion, or worldview. Right. For our purposes, applying the term to Christian faith, we can define deconstruction as the process of taking apart and examining an idea, tradition, practice, or belief to determine its truthfulness, usefulness, and impact. Seen in this light, deconstruction is a bit like renovating an older house, removing, adding, modifying, and rearranging various structural elements in order to make it more livable for those who live in the house now. I love that.
That's so good.
It's so good. And I love the image, the picture of showing deconstruction with actual construction, like of a house. And we all know like that there's different journeys within, if you really put yourself in the position of like having a home, right? Picture your faith as your home. Yeah. And some of us, we may walk into a brand new construction, you know, like it's pristine, it looks amazing and all of these things. Some of us, we may be in a spot that needs to be demoed. Right. You know, it needs to be like, okay.
Fixer-upper.
Yeah, fixer-upper faith. But we see the walls are up. We want to tear this down. We want to remove this and that. And then some of us are in a space where, oh, I like all this. I just need to fix up some cosmetics, right?
Jazz it up with some shit.
And then some people may be in a space where they're like, demo this whole thing, tear the whole thing down. We going down to the foundation. I'm rebuilding.
Down to the absolute ground.
Absolute ground. And then there's one more. This is the one that the church people do not like. It's the one where the people are in this house and they're like, I'm good. I don't want it. And they walk away. Yeah. That's the deconstruction process. Right. And we're here to break that shame. Yeah. Break that shame from, it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're just beginning your journey, if you are in the middle, or if you're at the end and you find out I'm good on all this. Right. Like, no shame here.
No shame,
this
no
is a
force.
safe space.
No force. No one's trying to force you to pick and choose and come back or don't go, stay. We just want to create a place to have a conversation. And actually journey through this thing, right? Just certain things.
It's not just limited to faith.
It's not exactly. Here's the thing about church. This is what makes church, the system of church. Let me make sure I say that. The religious side of it, whack, is that the church thinks they always own everything. Yes. Like, you don't own deconstruction. You don't own culture. It's like the kingdom over culture, all this wild stuff. It's like, yo, we all have
Seven Mountain Mandate.
Right. Which is, break that
down. Whole political situation.
Whole other conversation, right?
Christian nationalism.
Exactly. So like we think what it is a lot of times it's about control, right? More than it's about the church. It's more about, it's not even about like God a lot of times. It's about people taking control of people's agency. And that's what I love about deconstruction is you take back your own agency. What do you like? What do you want to do? Right? You've been so indoctrinated in your faith and indoctrinated in your family that when it's time to think about what do you want to do, you don't even know. Yeah. You haven't even had time to spend with yourself to figure out what you like. And that's the part that it will become freeing to you when you realize, I don't actually have to raise my kids like this. Yeah. I don't actually have to be in this political party if I don't want to be in it because my family and down the generations, I don't actually have to eat this just because that's what everybody else ate. You want to be a vegan, go ahead and be a vegan, shorty. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, like I've been a part of family and times where we're eating for Thanksgiving and being made fun of because you don't want to eat meat. Like it doesn't matter what level of deconstruction you're at. Someone's going to say something about it, and it's on you to create the space you want. Yes. Like right now, we live in a space where we got some walls that separate our living room to our kitchen. We want an open concept. So the next place we get or the next place we build, we may knock down some walls. Yeah. I don't know if you remember this when I used to live in Detroit, and it was early on. Like we was like I was trying to make some money to take care of the family, and I was a starving youth pastor. Like that was the early stages of ministry for me. Yeah. And somebody at your dad's church, I think he actually had a business, and he was like, he had a job. He's like, hey, we got some demo jobs. You want to come down here? Yeah, come down here. We pay y'all. I think it was like $100 for the day. I'm like, oh, let's do that. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how long it take. You can get it done in 8 hours or 4 hours. You can get paid. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So you hear that. All of us is in there trying to knock down every wall we can knock down. Because we're trying to get the bread. He's trying to get that money as fast as we could so we can go back home and hang out. And I remember one of the guys was just knocking down the wall like crazy. And I don't think he's seen someone about to walk in his path. And I'm like, yo, wait, like, because he almost hit somebody while he was doing a demolition job and doing a demo. Yeah. And I feel like that's how deconstruction is. Sometimes you could be walking in the path of somebody while they're going through their deconstruction process. You might get hit. It's not about you trying to say, keep that wall or keep that thought or keep that faith or that doctrine or that whatever. It's really about you being there.
Yeah.
It's about you being present.
Absolutely.
And if someone's like, yo, can you help me clean up this area? Or can you help me knock down this wall? Can you help me? It's not about winning them back.
Yeah.
You got to help some of the people that like are heavy apologists or about apologetics. And if you don't know what that is, it's about defending the faith. Nothing wrong with defending your faith, but some people don't even know what their faith is.
Right.
How about you like let them build their faith,
right,
or break down their faith, and just be there for them.
Yeah.
Not to win them back, because a lot of times with the church and believers, it's always about retention. How can we get them back? It's like, no, just be present.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times we're just not good at being present.
Yeah, so
we're
true.
trying to make somebody pursue something and do something different. Like, oh, come on, we got to win you. We got to do this. It's like, yo, calm down.
Yeah.
And I want to help somebody, whoever is watching somebody go through this, and they're like, I'm worried about them. Just let them go through the process and be there for them.
Yeah.
But to the person that's going through the process that we're going through, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're not crazy. You're not tripping. You're going through the process. You're actually probably doing way better than you think, because you're actually now dealing with the real reality of things that you've been facing through your life.
And speaking of reality of it, I want to ask you, how has deconstructing your faith affected you?
I feel like for me, it's like, I would say it was freeing. At first, for me, it was tough because like I was a youth pastor while I was doing this. I was in ministry, doing production. I'm hearing messages. I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I shouldn't feel nothing about that. I should leave it alone.
Yeah.
But as I start speaking to the next generation in Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I started to be more cautious of what I was communicating.
Yeah.
One, because of the platform God gave me, I wanted to be careful with my influence. And sometimes certain topics just wasn't something I need to talk about with them right now, because they're not even ready yet. They don't even know what they believe, to be honest. Right. So like, let's establish that. But for me, while I was going through it, I was like, I can't just give cliches to these kids and these young people. I can't just say random stories that they may not even know and then hope they know it and just kind of just do this churchy stuff where I just speak over something that they didn't even understand. Yeah. And so what it did was, by me being careful with them, it made me more careful with myself. And I'm gonna be honest, because of you, I'm so grateful for you just honestly questioning things with me. Not in a bad way, just like, I don't even know, babe. I'm like, hey, I was feeling the same way. I didn't know how to say it. I almost felt weird to say it, but it was freeing to even know, outside of just us doing that, what I would say is what's been freeing for me, knowing that God is okay with it.
Yeah.
That has been so helpful for me. I know he's not tripping. It's okay. It's probably the most free I've ever been.
Yeah.
And nobody had to lay hands on me. And nobody had knocked me down. They had to put no oil on me. I had to have a 7-day prayer or fast. It was a recollection became a reckoning. It helped me to realize, wow, my eyes are truly open.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to pretend like I'm not going to take this Tylenol if I have a headache. It's okay.
Right.
right? Because it's like, oh, well, I don't believe in the healer. Like, no, it's okay.
Right.
Over their head pounding, but you like, nah, I'm good. He going to help me. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So that's been the process I've been going through, and I feel like it's helped me to be more free.
Yeah, that's good.
How about you, babe?
I feel like for me, the deconstruction journey, and let's be clear, we're still on it. We are not experts, and we have not arrived. Yeah, we have not arrived. Our house is not fully complete. But for me, deconstruction has been so helpful in making me a better holistic person, because it's challenged me in every area. It didn't just stop at my faith. It challenged me in everything and how I viewed the world and my lenses. Because if I'm honest, when as Christians, we're taught that, you know, Christ is the center of it all, and everything flows from that place. So we lead with our faith first. Right. Almost like our faith is our identity. Right. I even heard a preacher one time talking about how she's a Christian before she's black. No.
So I was like, that's cap.
No. Yeah, that's cap. You know, you are definitely black.
Yep.
Because you were born black. You weren't born a Christian.
Right.
You had to accept that faith.
Right.
And so for me, I've been unprogramming, unlearning, like the sign says, unlearning and relearning everything. And it's, to me, made me a better person holistically to every person. People who normally I would probably judge. I wouldn't do it in a hateful way where I would, you know, treat them as an outcast, but internally I would be judging them.
Right.
And now I feel like I've just become so much more really like Christ.
Yeah.
Much more loving and accepting. And I don't know. I feel like the most beautiful picture of deconstruction that we've ever like talked about together was when we had this time where we were in the car, we were driving, we do road trips and stuff, so but we were driving in a car and we were coming up on a construction zone, and there was a sign that said to slow down or whatever. Said, do you remember? It said under construction. Under construction.
It said road work ahead.
Yes. And that is the journey. That is the journey of deconstruction. It is the journey of life is going. It's just, it looks like the normal everyday route, the everyday journey, right? And then you come into this unexpected patch where things get a little rocky. You got to slow down. You know, you got to, and that's the best advice that I feel like we can give to anybody who's in a deconstruction space or you're questioning your faith. Slow down, pause. First pause, slow down. Even when you come to a construction site, you know, the people are standing out there with the signs. Sometimes they say, stop. You got to wait on some other stuff that's coming through. And then when they turn that sign around and say slow, you can pass through, but you need to pass through slowly.
Proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution. And I just want to encourage you to do that. Even if you are strong in your faith, do it slowly. Walk this faith walk out slowly. Always be open to asking questions, always be open to others surrounding you. And I think that's what I've been gaining from it. So it's a new way of looking at the journey. I can pause, I can slow down and go through it, and when it's time to pick up regular speed and head to the remaining of my journey to get to that destination, I can do that, you know, because I didn't stop just because I was in construction.
And you didn't rush through it. There's certain seasons of your life where the moment where it slows you down and you don't rush through it, you got to take that time because you might not get it back, right? And if you rush through it, when you get to the other side and the mundane things of life and work and everything that you do is going so fast, kids are growing up and everything's moving so fast, you don't have time to slow down. So when you do have time to slow down, take the time. And that's the thing, like the pandemic, like it was a time for it to slow down. Everybody's rushing to get back. Everybody want to get back. But what happened if you just got better? You know, and that's what I feel like as this process has gone for us, I feel like that's what it's caused us to become. And I think it's just helped us to learn how to think. Like when you ever sat by yourself and you just thought by yourself and you had a moment to yourself, you start thinking a little differently. And a lot of times we don't have that. A lot of us are so clouded with everything going on with life, and we fill our calendars to the brim. We don't have any time to hear from just our own thoughts. Everybody want to talk about hear from God. Do you hear from yourself? What do you like to do? What do you like to go through? What do you like to, you know, what are you facing right now? And I think you can do that when you pause, like she said, and then slow down.
Because we get rushed through seasons, like I talked about earlier. Like you should be serving, you should be doing, and we're push past your pain, push to your breakthrough, push, praise until something happens. Like wait, calm down. Jesus.
Like, remember that one time
Can I catch my breath for a second? Like just
one of our friends went through a miscarriage and they were like, you know, she just wanted to talk to me and Britt because she knew what we had went through, her and her husband. And like the main they were saying is you just need to get back to it, serving. Serving is not the answer. So that's bad. That's bad leadership, right? If you're bleeding, why would I tell you just keep working? That doesn't make any sense. No, we need to pause, care for you, help you patch the bleeding, help you go through the process while you're healing. And if you decide to continue to work and come back, then that's what we want to do. We want to be there for you. And that's the thing I think we got to get better at when it comes to being just not even just the body of Christ, being people. Let people heal so they can be fully whole, you know?
And if we can, I guess, wrap this up, this part of the conversation up, I would say if you're on a journey, get you some support, because it can be lonely if you don't have that community. Get someone that you can trust, that is understanding. Someone, they may not be deconstructing, maybe, but I would advise you get around others who are, because they understand the journey. But if you only have people who are like solid in their faith, then hopefully you can find someone who is compassionate, who can understand where you are and can help walk alongside you while you're in this journey. But don't be afraid to branch off and not be just surrounded by the same crowd, the same teachings, the same voices. Start to question things and pull out your notebook and write down that scripture that's challenging you and you don't understand, or that story in the Bible that doesn't make sense, or that situation in your life that isn't adding up, and hear from other voices. Like, get some biblical scholars, some theologians, and other communities within the deconstruction space even, and hear other perspectives to help you. It's that support system that's on the road, that's holding the signs, that's helping to guide you through the process. It's the people helping to do the construction process in the house. If we want to keep that analogy going, it's not just all on you. Get that support to help you through this journey. And that's what we hope this is. That's where we're going with this podcast.
And that's what we want to promise to you here.
This is your safe space, so you can come in and you can challenge those thoughts. You can rethink, you can pause, and just have a moment to reflect and go through it slowly.
Yes, I love that.
So that was so awesome.
So good, man. Our first one back, baby.
Yes. So in conclusion, we want to ask you, just let us know in the comments as you go off, as we talked about earlier. Please share in the comments, what does this mean to you? What does this even mean?
What does this even mean?
What does deconstructing mean to you? What does it look like to you? Are you going through a deconstruction process? Give us your story. Let us know in the comments below. Or like we said, you can sound off at the link provided in the show notes and in the description, where you can share, and we will feature your voice on our podcast if you would like.
Bring you to our virtual couch.
Absolutely. So we want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. We are so grateful that you're here.
Yes, we are.
Please hit the like button, hit the follow or subscribe button wherever, if you're listening or watching. And if you are a podcast listener, please give us a review. We prefer 5 stars, but
please.
Leave us a review. It helps us to reach more people with this message. So
help us find our tribe. By leaving a message. So we can't wait to be back with you guys, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us for Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. This is a safe space,
helping you to freely think
and discover what you believe. Peace.